Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about dismantling that cycle of catastrophic thinking. We're going to walk through a really clear three-phase plan designed to help you break free from the grip of health anxiety and find your way back to a sense of peace.
So let's start with something I bet a lot of you have felt. You get a slight headache or random little twinge somewhere, maybe you feel dizzy for a second, and boom, your mind isn't just a little worried, it's completely convinced you're facing some kind of horrible, life-threatening illness. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, you are definitely in the right place.
You know, this powerful pattern of thinking, it's not just you being a warrior, it's actually a predictable cycle, and we call it the catastrophic loop. Just understanding how this thing works is the absolute first step to taking your power back and dismantling its hold on you. So what is it really? At its heart, catastrophic projection is basically a trauma loop. Your brain learned from something in the past that the world can be a really unsafe place. So now it mistakes a totally normal, harmless physical feeling for some huge imminent danger. It's like an old survival program that's just stuck on high alert. And here is the most important thing I want you to hear today. You are not stuck. I promise. There is a clear step-by-step plan you can actually use to move from that feeling of crisis to a place of calm. Let's walk through it together. Okay, so let's get really practical. Phase 1 is all about your emergency toolkit. These are things you can do right now, smack in the middle of a spiral, to slam on the brakes and ground yourself back in the present.
This technique is just so incredibly powerful. And here's why it works. It forces your brain to do something it literally can't do when it's catastrophizing, and that's pay attention to right now. By pulling in all 5 of your senses, you drag your focus away from that scary what-if future and plant it right back into the reality of this moment.
And here are 3 more quick-fire ways to interrupt that loop. Splashing your face with cold water, that creates a little physiological shock that actually slows your heart rate. Intense movement, like jumping jacks, helps burn off all that trapped fight or flight energy. And my favorite, repeating your scariest thought in a totally ridiculous, silly voice, it just brilliantly short-circuits the part of your brain that gives that thought all its terrifying power. All right, so once you have your emergency tools, phase 2 is about prevention. This is the stuff you do every day outside of a crisis to actually start rewiring the thought patterns that cause the loop to start in the first place. So this is the absolute key to phase 2. There's the physical thing you're actually feeling, the sensation, and then there's the catastrophic story your mind glues onto it. The real work here is learning to see that there's a space between those two things. They are not the same. I want you to become a detective of your own thoughts. It's a really practical exercise. Write down the one piece of evidence you have for the catastrophe, like I have a headache. Then you're going to list out all the evidence against it. Doing this simple thing over and over again strengthens your observing self. That's the rational part of you that can step in and challenge those automatic scary thoughts. Now, this next one, this can feel really hard, I know, but it's so important. Stop Googling your symptoms. Stop constantly scanning your body for problems. These things might give you like a second of relief, but long-term, they just pour gasoline on the anxiety fire. Every search just reinforces the idea that there's danger everywhere, making the loop even stronger. And this all leads to a huge critical shift in your mindset. See, the anxious part of your brain is desperate for 100% absolute certainty that nothing is wrong. But life, well, life just doesn't work that way. It doesn't offer that kind of guarantee. So the goal isn't to find it. The real goal is to get to a place where you are about 80% okay with not being 100% certain. It's about learning to live with that little bit of uncertainty that's just part of being alive. That's where the real freedom is. Okay, now we're going to go deeper. Phase 1 and 2 are about managing the symptoms, which is super important. But phase 3, this is about healing the root cause. It's about finally understanding the why behind all this fear. Asking yourself this one simple, compassionate question can be a total game changer. When you're in that loop, you can just gently ask, what is this really about? And what you start to see is that this whole catastrophic thinking thing, it isn't a flaw in you. It's actually a very confused protection strategy.
A lot of the time, the mind would rather spin out about a potential future illness than have to re-experience the intense feelings from a past event, feelings like helplessness or terror or being abandoned. The health anxiety actually becomes a distraction from a much deeper, older pain that hasn't healed. So to heal that root cause, regulating your nervous system is absolutely non-negotiable. Think of it like medicine you have to take every day. Practices like deep belly breathing with a long, slow exhale, creating a safe place in your mind you can go to, or gentle trauma-informed movement. All of these things teach your body on a physical level that it's safe to relax again. And look, for this kind of deep healing, working with a professional can make all the difference. You might want to look for therapists who are trained in things like somatic experiencing, which really focuses on the body, or internal family systems, which helps you understand and befriend those scared parts of yourself. EMDR and ICBT are also really powerful options.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together now. The final and maybe most important step is to adopt a really powerful, compassionate new way of looking at this whole experience, a new story.
This, right here, is the core idea I want you to take away. You are not broken. You are not flawed. There is a part of you that learned somewhere along the way that the world was a dangerous place, and it is just trying really, really hard to protect you.
I love this analogy. Think of it like you have an internal head of security. This part of you learned its job during a real crisis, and it has been on high alert ever since. It just hasn't gotten the memo that the immediate danger is over. So, your job is not to fight this part of you or to try and shame it into being quiet. Your job is to actually approach it with gratitude, to thank it for trying so hard to keep you safe, and then gently, patiently, begin to teach it a new way.
And how do you teach it? You teach it by using all the tools from all three phases, consistently. The grounding techniques teach it that the past trauma isn't happening now. The evidence-based thinking teaches it that a sensation isn't always a catastrophe. And regulating your nervous system teaches it that your own body can be a safe and comforting place to be again.
This whole thing is a journey of what you could call fierce self-compassion. It's about taking apart these old survival strategies that just don't fit your life anymore, not with a sledgehammer, but with real understanding. And it's about building a new, more peaceful way of living inside your own skin, starting right now, one small conscious step at a time.